We want your thoughts on what happened between Turkey and the European Union recently and the controversy where people are saying it's the ultimate violation of human rights.
We have a real challenge with Turkey today. Honestly, they are not doing their job properly. They are not doing their job to fight against ISIS. They are not doing their job to cooperate properly about the migrant situation. But this is a country we need to work with. So I hope we will find a situation first for the refugees themselves, because they are living a nightmare, something which is not acceptable from human perspective. So we have to stabilize the situation so they don't have to do this all awful trip where they can die, to protect them. And we have to find a solution to stop this war in Syria as quickly as we can, because waiting that the whole Europe can be destabilized for the pleasure of Mr. Putin, who is pushing also the crisis of the migrants, hoping that at the end the extreme right in Europe will win the game. We are in the middle of all of this politician game, and this is why altogether American and European always allies against totalitarianism in the history. We need together to stop this war in Syria before Europe will pay the price.
Who are you clear are your enemies and your allies in this war against terror?
Ideology of hate. This is the biggest enemy.
But the countries, are there Muslim countries that you can count on in this fight that are clearly, that they stand up against this hate and this ideology?
Well, it comes from Saudi Arabia anyway, and it comes from the Gulf countries who are supporting financially the Islamic State, ISIS, and supporting the Wahhabism and Salafism. You have to deal with these countries and tell them to take the responsibility of stopping this ideology of hate. And we have also to know that, I don't know if the word taqiyya is known, but you know, Sadat in Egypt brought out of prison the Muslim brothers and tried to give them freedom, and he was killed by them. September 11, who is the attackers? We were talking about bin Laden, but the number two, Ayman Zawahiri, is a medical doctor. He is the mastermind. Bin Laden has the money, and mastermind was Ayman Zawahiri, and they're still living today. And in the United States, they didn't say we have to make a war against radical Islam and about ideology of hate. We are attacked in our democracy, and this was what have been said. We have to use the right words, and we have to define the right enemy. The countries who are Turkey Turkey and Qatar are the two countries who are to blame in all these problems with these migrants, with this ISIS, because they are supporting them. Turkey is having double-face policy, saying they are attacking the ISIS, and then, in fact, they are attacking the Kurds who are attacking ISIS. They are leaving the gas and the petrol going through their territory. They are arming, they are leaving people going through their territory. So what is the role of Turkey? And then the result is giving them $7 billion and saying we are going to accelerate the negotiation to make Turkey enter in the European Union as fast as possible, and suppressing and don't give any more visas, and all the Turkish people have to come in the Schengen countries without visas. Are these good negotiations from the European Union? Is the policy of Merkel saying we are going to leave hundreds of thousands to come to our country? Is this a good message, or is it encouraging the people to come? So one word is, I would like you to have it. Taqiyya is the word used by the Muslim Brothers, and Sadat, before he has been killed, he was at the Egyptian parliament discovering and telling them, I discovered that you are using taqiyya, which is to say the opposite of what you believe, as long as you are weak, and then tell the truth when you are strong. So this is the double language that is used by the Muslim Brothers around the White House, within the European Union, within all the societies, European societies, by going to the neighbor, by going to a friend. But the main aim is what? is you come to convert to Islam, you come to the worldwide caliphate. So the countries are very simple to define, and the enemy has to be really defined.
What should the United States of America learn from what's going on in Europe?
Well, I think first the US are part of this challenge. They have a role to play, and we don't want the US to go back from all the worldwide issues and focus only on internal issues. It would be domestic issues. It would be very, very dangerous for the whole world. First of all, regarding their alliances, the US has had a long tradition of working with the Saudis. And in a way, supporting the Saudis and so supporting the Wahhabism. And it's very dangerous. It has been very dangerous because they feeded, the Saudis feeded the whole ideology of radical Islam. And so the US have a role to play by putting pressure on their allies, as a Muslim allies, and saying to them, you have a role to play in curbing the ideology of radical Islam. Another issue is, for instance, regarding Turkey. Turkey is a key piece in the, I would say, Muslim Brotherhood plan towards Europe and towards the Western world, because they know that Europe needs Turkey, and Erdogan is in fact himself a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know if he's officially a member of it, but he's
officially.
so they are part of the Muslim Brotherhood system in a way, and that's very dangerous. And we need to, on the other side, to help countries like Tunisia, like Egypt, who decided to reject radical Islam on the political level. And we need to help these countries to be stronger among the Muslim world.
And finally, what does the capture of the terrorists in Belgium say to us? Why all of a sudden has the terror alert gone up in a place like the UK and London? And what does it mean going forward?
That means that certainly for years, some politicians in Belgium, in UK too, were really blind, in France sometimes also, really blind about those networks of support of terrorism. And this has to stop right now. We cannot afford to have more attacks because of this cowardness. But I think it starts to change, honestly. And there is another really trap. Many politicians think that to fight against radicalization, they have to work with some other Islamists who pretend to be not terrorists or not actively violent, physically violent. And sometimes they're using the network of Muslim brothers to fight against the radicalization of the jihadists of the Islamic State. This is the most stupid way to fight it, because the terrorist networks, you will have to deal with them for the next 5 years. It's really going to be bloody and very hard. But networks of the fanatics who are really infiltrating the society, are brainwashing, including very smart people and students and future citizens, are the Muslim Brothers. So if you are counting on them to fight against the immediate terrorism, you will help fanatism to grow. And then in 50 years, we'll be in the same situation, because fanatism at a certain point always lead to more radicalism.
I'm Armstrong Williams. Thank you again to my distinguished guests for joining us. Do you have websites?
Yes.
What's your website address?
Caroline.forest. You will find.
Yours?
You can check the CRIF website. It's www.crif, so it's CRIF.fr.
Mosaic Federation, you can find it in Google.
OFED, Organisation Franco-Égyptienne Droits de l'Homme, OFEDH.org.
And I'm Armstrong Williams, and that's a wrap.